Hi everyone, my name is Matt Friedman of Ivy Masters Learning Center, and today we're going to be going over circles in a graph and some common SAT problems involving circles. So first, let's start by going over the basics of a circle. When it's in a graph, what is it? Well, a circle can be given by the equation x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So what does this mean? When we plug that equation into a graph, it's going to give us a circle. But there are some numbers that we need to plug in first. So let's take a look at this circle on the left so we can see how we plug into this equation. So x and y are variables here. So we don't plug anything in for those when we're making the equation for a circle. Instead, we need to find numbers for h, k, and r. So how do we find these numbers? So the center of a circle in this equation is h comma k, meaning h is the x-coordinate of the circle and k is the y-coordinate of the circle. So the center of this circle to the left is 2, -3. So that means that h is 2 and k is -3. So we've already started with many of our numbers. So we can fill in x minus 2 squared plus y. And since it's y minus k and k is negative, we flip the sign. So it's y plus 3 squared. But now we need to know r. So what is r? R is the radius of the circle. So from here, the center, to the outside, that's the radius. Now the radius of this circle is 3. And that's what r is. R is 3. So we say equals 3 squared, or we can just write 9. But this equation is now the final equation that we use to get a circle. So if we were to plug that in to a graphing calculator, we would get this exact circle as the graph. So now let's take a look at some common SAT problems involving these circles. The equation above defines a circle in the xy plane. What are the coordinates of the center of the circle? X squared plus 20x plus y squared plus 16y equals -20. So how would we even start this problem? It is not in the form that we were just working with. So we need to make it into that form. If it's asking for the coordinates of the center of the circle, that's h and k. So we need to find h, the x coordinate of the circle, and k, the y coordinate of the circle. So how would we do that? So first, let's just start by writing out the problem. But let's separate the x's and the y's. So right now, these are both in the form of ax squared plus bx, where a here is 1 and b here is 20. B is the number next to the x, a is the number next to the x squared. So it's in this form, but we need to get it into this form. So how do we do that? We use a process called completing the square. So here's how it works. We take our equation, x squared plus 20x, and now we need to find a third number to go right here. And the way we find that number is we take b over 2 squared. So what does that mean? B in this equation is 20 because b is the number right next to the x, and the number right next to the x here is 20. So we take 20 over 2 and square it. which equals 10 squared, which equals 100. So we plug 100 into here. Now, this equation is factorable now. X squared plus 20x plus 100, we can factor that into x plus 10, or that's a little messy. Let's just clean that up a little bit, into x plus 10 squared. So if this is in the form x minus h squared, h equals negative 10, or our x coordinate is negative 10. So now we need to look at the answer choices with an x coordinate of negative 10. B is the only one. So that means that B is our correct answer. So we don't need to go any further. But if we did, like let's say there were multiple choices with negative 10 as the correct x coordinate, then we would need to do the same exact thing for the y side. And then we would get k, or the y coordinate, and we would be able to get the coordinates of the circle. There is another way to do this problem, though, using a shortcut. So remember that b is the number next to the x, or next to the single y. If you can identify b every time, then you can use this shortcut. The coordinate is negative b over 2. So let's take a look at the y side using this shortcut since we already did the x. So what is b here? So let's just write out ay squared plus by and try and find our b. So the number next to the y is 16. B equals 16. So if we plug in negative b over 2, so negative 16 over 2, we get negative 8, or k equals negative 8. So our y coordinate is negative 8, which is also correct. So if you were to take negative b over 2, you would get the correct answer for both coordinates. And that's a shortcut you can use instead of having to go through this whole completing the square process. So I hope this video helped in helping you understand circles, how they work, and how to approach them on the SAT. Circles are very common towards the end of section 4 on the SAT. This one came as question 29 on test 5 in section 4. So these are very common. You'll usually see one in every test. My name is Matt Friedman of Ivy Masters Learning Center, and I'm a tutor in the SAT, ACT, and academic topics. You can book me at this link, which is also in the description. Thanks. See you next time.